Welcome to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. Glad to be back. Was on a little vacation and missed the last 2 weeks, but we're gonna kind of review the game last week against the Minnesota Vikings. Pittsburgh Steelers got a hard fought victory, 24-21, which that score is actually a little closer than what it really should have been. But the Pittsburgh Steelers never make anything look easy or relaxing, I guess you could say. Um, I did see some improvement. I seen some improvement in some areas that we always felt like the team needed to improve. Was finally able to run the ball for a change. They did do some different things schematically to help them run the ball. It's a good thing, but still, that offensive line needs to improve. That we should be able to run the ball just with our regular offensive line instead of stacking the line and adding extra bodies. But at this point, I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain. Um, like I said, we got the win, much closer than what I thought it should have been. But it doesn't. At the end of the day, it don't matter if you win by 30, you win by one, as long as you get the dub at the end of the day. So I'm not gonna sit here and really complain about that too much. But let's get right to it. So the Pittsburgh Steelers went over to Dublin, Ireland. The first international game of the year. That's actually was the first international game for the Steelers in quite a long time. Um, but Steelers Nation went over there and represented, did their thing, and the team came back with a much needed win. So let's get into these grades. So, Steelers won the game 24-21, improved their record to 3-1. So we're sitting on top of the AFC North. I think Cincinnati's second 2-2, and the Cleveland Browns and the Baltimore Ravens are picking up the rear at 1-3. So right now the Steelers have a 2-game lead over the Ravens. That's going to be huge. I mean, they still got to stack games and try to spread that margin of them being ahead of the Ravens. They got a chance to play Cincinnati here coming up, so that that can give them some more space. Cincinnati is like in a world of trouble right now. They're playing terrible. So right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers are really the best team that's playing the best football right now in the AFC North. But we remember what happened last year, so can't get too happy right now. But um, can't be mad that they're in first place right now. So getting to the grades, quarterback Aaron Rodgers had the big play to Metcalf, 80-yard touchdown, completed like 80% of his passes. Um, really didn't really had a I don't want to say a perfect game, but for what he had to do, he handled his business, and I actually gave him an A. The only thing that I kind of see that's kind of a red flag is if you go back and look at film of Big Ben his last year. If you go back and look at the quarterback Matt Ryan his last year, and even Phillip Rivers to a point, when you get an older quarterback, they get into that don't want to get hit, and they're getting that ball out fast. They're not looking to throw the ball down the field. They're just looking to get that ball out of their hands fast. And I kind of seen that in Rodgers. The one thing I will say about Rodgers, he's very accurate. So, that helps. But if you re-look at the game, it's sometimes Rodgers is getting that ball out in 2 seconds. So that kind of helped the line out because I don't care who you are, you're not gonna get to the quarterback in 2 seconds. So that's the only thing we got to kind of keep our eye on. That is, I call it old man ball, and like I say, he's not holding on to that ball. He's getting it out of his hands. But the only downfall of that is, unless you have plays like what you had with Metcalf, they're not gonna throw the ball down the field because he don't want to hold it that long. And it's probably part of the scheme that they just know the offensive line right now can't hold up, and they're not going to call any deep shots. So it's just something to look into. The running backs, Kenny Gainwell. I mean, excellent game. I mean, I don't know how the Steelers missed it, and he only had 99 yards, and they didn't get him over the 100-yard mark. But he ran hard, it was holes there, or he made some things happen. The Steelers rushed for over 100-something yards, first time this year. So again, you can't be mad. Like I say, it's an improvement, and that's something that everybody's been crying about, that we can't run the ball, and they finally was able to run the ball. So no issues there. With that said, I gave the running backs a B. Um, the uh, Johnson had a couple of carries, but it really didn't produce too much. But I just thought Gainwell really stepped up huge, and the Steelers kind of put some extra blocking out there for him. But the running game worked, and that we can't complain because we've been complaining all year that we can't run the ball. The wide receivers, again, very solid. DK Metcalf show why you gave him $150 million. That 180-yard run, I mean, he just turned on the Jets, and he left everybody. And that's a big man to be running that fast. So that was a beautiful thing. Calvin Austin, the little human. Unfortunately, he got hurt, and the Steelers that's something that's going to have to be addressed because, again, if DK goes down, the Steelers is in a world of hurt. The offense is going to be in a world of hurt, but we're not going to really talk about that too much. But that's just something that they're going to have to try to figure out. Calvin Austin, don't really know what his deal is right now, but it doesn't look too bad. But we'll see if he'll be able to play against the Browns or not. But the receivers, I gave him a B plus. I thought they were pretty solid. Um, wasn't really asked to do a lot, but Metcalf had his first 100-yard game as a Pittsburgh Steeler, and they did what they had to do. The tight ends, Darnell Washington caught a ball. He's a big guy, and if I'm a DB, I'm really not looking forward to trying to tackle this guy. I like the fact that his blocking was on point, and that really helped to spring the running game. Smith really didn't do anything. Firemouth, I guess he's in the doghouse. I don't know what's going on there, but the only thing I will say for what the Steelers are paying their tight ends, you just want to see more production out of those guys because they're paying a lot of money. So I gave him a C plus. Again, I don't know what's the deal with Fryer Move. It almost seemed like he's being phased out the offense, or he's in the doghouse or one. I don't know, but I gave the tight end room a solid C plus. I even seen Hayward in there make a couple of good blocks, so um, that area was actually looking up. The offensive line, um, kind of shaky here. And the only reason I say that is when you watch the film and when you really break it down, it was still some breakdowns in pass protection. Um, what the Steelers end up doing is keeping Darnell Washington in the block. They brought Anderson in there and they went heavy and they kind of pushed Minnesota around a little bit. Um, but like again, I got to give those guys they credit. I didn't think it was a perfect game. Um, so I gave the offensive line a C, but from where they have been, that is a major improvement. And the good thing is the arrow is pointing up. The arrow is pointing up. It seems like they're starting to play a little better, and they just got to keep building. You just got to keep building. Um, the bye is coming at a good time, so some of the guys that maybe a little nicked up a little bit, they get a little rest. And believe it or not, this game coming up against the Cleveland Browns, they're gonna have a challenge. I mean, we always joke about the trash Browns, but their defensive line is pretty good. I don't even have to go into it about Myles Garrett. Um, so that's going to be a huge test for these guys. So we'll see how they do coming out off the bye. But I gave them a C, and like I say, that's a good thing for them. The offensive line as a whole, I probably could have gave them a B, but I'm gonna go C plus. I'm just I'm not gonna get overhyped about the things that they did because I just feel like that's the things. I mean, that's what you should do. But I feel like the arrow is going up for the offensive line. The running backs, we'll see if we can keep this running attack going. A little concerning with the receivers right now with the injury to Austin. But with that said, I really thought this really probably should have been a B, to be honest. But I gave him a C plus, and we'll see how they do coming off this bye. Let's move to the defense. So the edge, um, great game. I mean, Watt got him a sack. He got him a interception. Herbert sack. No, actually two and a half sacks, I think. No. Excuse me. He had a sack. Um, you know, um, they just they did what they did. And my thing is going to be when Highsmith comes back. I don't really see how you can put Herbert on the bench. I mean, he make plays. He's actually he's an impact player on this defense. So that's going to be a thing that the Steelers are going to have to try to figure out. But I gave the edge. I gave those guys an A. I thought those guys had their best game of the year. They were all over Carson Wentz, and they played a great game. Defensive tackles. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was playing overseas, but Bennett was a monster. I mean, if they can get that type of play out of him week to week, the Steelers defense is going to be something to really deal with because he was dominating. Um, he they couldn't block him. They couldn't block him. So hopefully he can keep this going. Cam Hayward, he was part of that. He actually made caused the interception with Watt got tipping the ball. So the defensive line, I gave those guys a B. And again, this is a major improvement for them because beginning of the season they were playing terrible. I think Hayward and kind of got his win and got himself in shape. So he's starting to play a little better, well, a lot better. And like I say, that game Bennett had, man, that was can't ask for more than that. The linebackers, their thing is it goes with the defensive line. When the defensive line is holding off offensive linemen and letting those guys run free, you see what they can do. Queen had a sack. Peyton Wilson probably had the one of the best rundown. I mean, he showed his speed because he ran. He's out here running receivers down, so he showed his speed. And I think the inside linebackers played their best game of the year, and I gave those guys a B. Really no complaints. Like I say, they're predicated on the defensive line, and the defensive line did what they had to do. So they gave those guys the opportunity to run and run stuff down and make plays. The cornerbacks, to be honest, really wasn't asked to do a lot. I thought Jefferson was kind of he was getting to him in the first quarter, and then in the second half he really didn't do much. He caught one ball that I think if he don't slip, that might have turned into a big play, maybe even a touchdown. Then unfortunately Ramsey pulls the hamstring, so it's like he's gonna be down for a while, and Echols got hurt. So by the end of the game, the corners were kind of playing on fumes. They ended up giving up the big play, and I think that was just the fact of having a lot of guys that wasn't really expected to play, and I think a call might have been made that those guys really wasn't sure about, and they left a guy wide open. So with that, I gave the corners a C. I thought they were solid, and just gonna have to see how that's gonna shake out. I really don't know what the deal with Eccles is right now. I know Ramsey's gonna be out for a few weeks, so we'll see how the Steelers manage to take care of that situation. The safeties, I mean, they got back the guy they needed. Got Deshaun Elliott back, and he had an impact right away. Had an interception, and I always thought that he's really like the heart and soul of this defense. Um, it's just it's like night and day when he's in and when he's out. So with that said, I gave the safeties a B plus. I thought those guys played a good game, and basically it was Elliott. It was led by Elliott, and he's just, to me, I almost feel like he's like the really heart and soul of this defense. So overall, the defense, I gave the defense a B. I thought they had a good game. I mean, they had the breakdown at the end, but like I say, there's no excuse for it. But I think that was just a situation where you had some guys that wasn't used to playing and kind of missed the call there. But there's really no excuse for it. But I thought as a whole, the defensive um they played great. I mean, and I give them a B. Special teams, you know, um, wasn't bad. Wasn't bad. I gave them a B minus. I gave the special teams a B minus. I thought the coverage teams was much better this week, even though We did get the block, got the field goal block, and which I thought that was all on Fryer move, being lazy, and didn't really punch, and he let the guy come on a short angle, and he got a piece of the ball and blocked the extra. I mean the field goal. But other than that, I thought the special teams was pretty good. In coaching, um, I'm gonna be honest. I had kind of thought that this was a game that the Pittsburgh Steelers could possibly get out coached on the offensive side and the defensive side, but it didn't happen. Um, on the offensive side, I think the Steelers hit Minnesota with the with the extra lineman in there and Darnell Washington in there, and Minnesota really couldn't adjust to it. Flores couldn't really adjust to it. And as you can see, the Steelers was able to run the ball really down their throat. And then on the defensive side, I thought the Pittsburgh Steelers dominated Minnesota's offense. I mean, I think in the first quarter, first half, Minnesota Jefferson was kind of getting loose on them a little bit, but then after that, they really didn't have anything going on until they hit that big play, and that was really a breakdown on the Steelers. And I just thought from the defensive side, I thought the Steelers had more different blitzes. They were sending different guys. They were just more aggressive. So the coaching, I gave the coaching a B minus. And so I think overall, this was the best, and it wasn't perfect, but this was the best that the Steelers probably in played all season so far. So with that said, you can't really be mad. You can't be mad. Just gotta stack more wins and just keep improving. And that's pretty much it. So we'll see what they're going to do next week against the Cleveland Browns. But until then, you guys take care. Like, comment, and subscribe. Help me build this station. And until next time, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.